It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, now we are chatting about something special that's going to be happening on Friday at the Assembly Legislature, and that is our annual Women's Debate. And of course, to talk to us a little bit about that, I am being joined by the Special Programs Coordinator for the Assembly Legislature, and that is none other than Miss Sophia Cooper. So good morning and welcome to you, Sophia. How are you?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
So we are here once again. We're doing another edition of the Women's Debate. What is the topic for this year? How are things going?
This year, we're using the international theme, which focuses on accelerating progress, but it also zeroes in on financial access and financial support from a gender perspective. So, sometimes people think, well, we have all these programs already. What more do you want? When we look at the figures, however, we see that at certain points, there are things that are gaps within the conversation of how men are able to access finances and what they do with those finances, as opposed to women and how they access support for financing and what can be done with that financing. So it's an interesting motion that we're going to have on Friday at the Assembly Chamber on Jerningham Street. It starts at 10 a.m. and we're inviting people to come into the chamber. The public gallery is open to you, so consider this your invitation. Or you could tune in online. We have the live stream on Facebook and our YouTube channel. That's 10 a.m. this Friday.
And tell me about the women that are going to be involved in this debate.
Oh, wonderful. So what we did this year is to make sure that we had an open call. And it was a little, okay, I wonder if people are going to be interested if we don't actually go to the assemblymen and say, choose somebody from your constituency, which is what we've done before in order to get a wide cross section from Charlottesville to Crown Point. And this year, it was done as an open call, and we had so much support from women. So they were just like, okay, we're interested. So what do I do next? And we're like, oh, great. So we will provide the training in parliamentary procedures. We will bring in an expert on the topic. We will give you the support in making sure that you're ready for the day. You just have to tell us you're interested. And that is what has been happening. So even yesterday, we had the senior financial officer from an institution come in and really go through the figures, because on the surface of it, you're thinking, well, okay, what more can be done? And then when you look at the figures, you're like, okay, now I see where the gaps are.
Yes.
And so you have to now debate both sides of that conversation. And so we're challenging the members of the public to also join in that debate. How do we access financial support, and where does that support go? Where do those finances go? And if it has an impact on the lives of women and their families.
Certainly. And, just to expand a little bit on some of the ladies that answered the call. So there was an open call and they answered the call. Like, did they come from, what are the sectors they are coming from to contribute to this debate?
Right. So we do have individuals who were asked by their area representative to join the debate. There are persons who are representing NGOs. So these are NGOs that are focused on women issues, rights and development. And then we have entrepreneurs, because we're talking about access to financing. So we have entrepreneurs in the field of beauty, in food, in craft, and a number of other different areas or sectors in society. So when we talk about a representation of different women within society, we're hoping that this cross-section is going to bring to the fore the kind of information that you won't get in one conversation, that the assembly chamber is the place where we're really emphasizing what democracy looks like by having all these different voices in one place.
And how important is such a conversation like this with all these various viewpoints? How important that is to the development of our little Tobago space?
But it's very important because I always think of Tobago in terms of the landmass. We might be hard to see on a global map, but in terms of our impact, it has been tremendous, and not just in our time. But remember, Tobago had laws that pertain to the environment before going green was a global slang, right? Which is why the UN has on its record that Tobago is the first protected reserve through legislation. I mean, this island compared to the rest of the world. So we might be small in size, but when it comes to our aims and goals and actions and impact, we've always been impactful. We've always been big, and I want people to remember that. And sometimes I think we forget that we are just as important as everybody else, irrespective of our landmass.
Yes.
Right? So when we talk about International Women's Day, we're also bringing that concept to the fore, where we're saying what you have to say matters to the rest of us. And that's the reason why we're having it as part of a legislative program. We want to ensure that democracy is protected, and the THA Act gives us responsibility in Tobago and the Tobago space for the executive arm. And everybody's familiar with that arm. We know when you interview your secretaries and so on. And we want them to become familiar with the legislative arm and how that impacts our democracy on the island.
So after this debate is said and done, how will this impact also on the way that the THA governs? Will that information be used as to perform part of policy and that sort of thing going forward?
Right. So we want to make sure that there's separation of powers, and this is a doctrine within our constitution where you have the executive arm separate from the legislative arm, so that there is the roles and functions being performed in a way that there isn't undue bias, right? So the first thing to remember is the legislature is the legislature and the executive council is the executive council. Therefore, the legislature can't tell the executive council what to do. However, by providing this opportunity for members of the public, of course, the area representatives who are members of the legislature would be listening. And so the intention is to provide the information in a way that would have an impact on what they do, what they say, what policies can come out of it. And that's one of the reasons we also ask the area representatives to choose a representative from their constituency so that there is buy-in and understanding in terms of the process and why we're having this in the first place. And I just want to add that the International Women's Day debate is actually part of an initiative we call the People's House. So it's not just for International Women's Day. We want senior citizens, people who live with disabilities, differently abled. We want the young people who are in primary school. We want the young people who just got a job. We want people who would talk on specific issues pertaining to our space and specific issues pertaining to the world. Like, we want that diversity and conversation to happen and not just vote every 5 years. So what we're talking about essentially is participatory democracy while we protect what we have.
Certainly. And a lot to look forward to. And I have to put in a plug here because one of our own, Biana Brevner, is on the team. So we are going to be hearing Biana. I am so excited. She has some good points. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm excited for the rest of Tobago to hear what she has to say, along with the other ladies.
Yes, so definitely. I'm excited as well. And I hope the members of the public are as excited as we are. And so tune in 10 a.m. this Friday. You can see it on our Facebook page or YouTube channel. Just tune in or come in the chamber. You have an invitation. Just show up. We have a seat waiting for you.
Certainly. And it will be a good day to wear purple as well.
Yes, definitely.
All right, I want to thank you so much, Sophia Cooper, for being on with us and for sharing just this wonderful initiative in light of International Women's Day. And we are definitely looking forward, and viewers, you got to support Biana, our own. So thank you so much for being on with us. And viewers, hope you have a safe and wonderful day, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.
We are people